Repairing damaged photographs is what Photoshop does best, and there's a variety of tools that we can work from. You can see on this photograph I've got some tears and a lot of little spots and things that I would need to get rid of in order to restore this back to its original condition. There are some tools that we can work with. To find these tools, look in the center of your toolbox. The first one I'm going to show you is the clone stamp tool, but there's also some other ones under the healing brush, the spot healing, and the patch tool. I'll show you these later. So with the clone stamp tool, this works like a regular paintbrush. With this one at the very top, I can change the size and the hardness of it, and I can also change up the other type of options that you would normally find with a brush. Here's what the clone stamp tool does. If I was to zoom in on my area, unlike a regular paintbrush that paints with a solid color, clone stamp allows me to copy the texture from one area of my photograph onto the other area. So if I wanted to get rid of this spot on the left-hand side, to choose the area I want to clone, hold down your Option key, and you can see I get a crosshair, then click once. Now when I let go of my Option key, I can click and drag and it will copy over that texture. Here's kind of a more dramatic area. So let's say I hold down the Option key and choose the little girl's eye. Now when I move around, you can see I get a preview of what it looks like. And as long as I click and hold, it's going to copy those pixels. This is the essence of what the clone stamp allows you to do. Command Z will undo that. So if I wanted to get rid of an area, say this entire line, I'm going to hold down my Option key and click on an outside area, and I can make my brush a little bit smaller, and I can click and drag over that line, and you can see it erases it away. Now I do need to be careful that the area that I'm copying is similar to the area that I'm moving the pixels to. You can see it's starting to get pretty dark in this lighter area, and I wouldn't want to do that. This is where those other tools come in handy. I'm going to undo what I've done, and in this case I'm going to choose my spot healing brush tool. This is the one I use most often. Just like the other one, I can change up the size and shape of my brush, making it larger or smaller. What I like to do is to make my brush just a little bit larger than the area I want to affect. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. That looks pretty good. With the spot healing brush, all I have to do is click and drag over the area that I want it to affect, and when I let go, Photoshop automatically chooses the pixels that are around that area and fills it in. So this is a great way of quickly getting rid of those lines. Clicking and dragging, clicking and dragging, and in a few clicks I've done that without having to hold down the Option key. Now you can see when it goes over the face, I want to be a little bit more careful. For instance, I wouldn't want to go over her lips because it'll get rid of that, but I could start here and drag out, and it will find that common area. Used to, this was a very difficult process. Not anymore. It just takes a little bit of practice to be aware of what you're working with. You can see right here on her cheek is where it didn't do too good of a job. This is where I may want to use my clone stamp tool to select a specific area and clone it in, clone it out as well. Again, this is more of an art than a science. Let's zoom back out. If I wanted to affect a larger area, say this area of her clothes down here, I can use the patch tool. With the patch tool, it gives me the ability to select an area. So I'm going to click and drag over that entire area. You can see I've got my marquee. And if you look at the top, I can choose between a source and a destination. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click inside of this area and drag it, and you can see it's starting to copy whatever area that I drag it to. So when I release my mouse, it fills in that area with what I had. Here it is before, and here it is after. Since I had source selected, whatever I click and drag, that's what it's going to be copying those pixels to. If I chose destination, this will give me the ability to select an area. Say I chose her head. Now when I click and drag, it's going to make a copy of that area, and when I release it, it's going to blend it in with the area, the destination that I moved it to. So there is a little bit of practice that it takes to do this, but in general, the more you do it, the easier it'll get. And you can very quickly get rid of the little spots using the spot healing brush. Let's say I zoomed in, click and drag over those areas, get rid of these little spots very quickly. Or if I had a larger area, I would use the patch tool to use that. If I needed something specific, that's where the clone stamp tool comes in.